new partnership with the state of Oklahoma will bring additional investments to create more opportunities and better outcomes for Oklahoma's youth. Only on 5, Governor Kevin Stitt joins us live along with Laura and John Arnold with Arnold Ventures to tell us all about it. I want to welcome you all in and say good morning and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Let's talk about this. This is a big announcement. We're talking about a $10 million grant. Governor Kevin Stitt, I'll let you tell us all about this partnership.
Yeah, well, first off, we're so excited. John and Laura Arnold are just fantastic Americans. They live in Houston, so we love getting some of the Texans up here to Oklahoma, showing them our great state. But they're just amazing people, and they're going to be investing a $10 million matching grant where government can't solve some of these societal problems, but they really do an amazing job of partnering with the state. So it's going to be a matching funds, and I'll let them share with you. But there's going to be adoption services. There's going to be availability for people to, ask for a grant program for maybe tutoring in our K through 12 program. So it's really on their heart to use some of their dollars to move the needle in the state of Oklahoma on a lot of different things, and also criminal justice is a big part of their platform as well. And so thank you again for your investment in the state of Oklahoma. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, so we'll turn it over to you guys now. Talk about why you chose Oklahoma to do this partnership with and what your vision is for the state.
Well, thank you so much, Alejandra. Thank you for having us, and thank you for the opportunity. It's really an honor to be here with Governor Stitt and to continue our long-standing investment in Oklahoma. We have had the pleasure and honor to work with Governor Stitt in his incredible efforts to reduce recidivism, to reduce jail populations and prison populations in the state, and to achieve incredible criminal justice outcomes that are based on data and that are safeguarding public safety. So we have always been interested in evidence-based policy, in investing in what works. And in Oklahoma, we find a leader. You have a leader here who is so deeply focused on outcomes, so focused on public-private partnerships and on improving the lives of Oklahomans. And so we're excited for this program that will bring evidence-based policy, invest in what works, partner with the state of Oklahoma to improve people's lives. And so we couldn't be more excited about this partnership.
And I love it. When a business guy like John invests his money, he's looking for data and evidence and making sure those dollars are on target and they're getting the outcome that they want. So when he matches these funds in the state, DHS, our faith-based initiatives, we already have a Be a Neighbor program, because we know government's not the answer. We need churches and nonprofits and some of these organizations, and then we have business guys like John that come in, and Laura, to help us with the data to hold these NGOs accountable. It's an amazing opportunity to really move the needle in whatever they're focused on. And so we're just excited that they're here to partner with us.
Yeah, and I want to go into more depth on some of the possible initiatives and programs that we could see expand with this grant and how you're going to be tracking those outcomes.
Yeah, there's a number of programs now that have very strong evidence of success. That it's not just about putting money out, but it's about ensuring that there is real success, that there's outcomes that improve people's lives. And so there's been kind of a decade-plus movement of evidence-based policymaking, of let's fund things that work and that reach the highest standard of evidence. And that's why Governor Stitt was talking about data and research and evaluation, and that's so important. Oftentimes, like a lot of these debates are about how much money gets allocated, when as important a question is how does that money get allocated, going to effective programs. And so there are programs like high dosage tutoring or community college student success programs, or getting more high quality foster parents to come in. And so a number of these programs are very suitable for this investment.
And Governor Stitt, I do want to ask you, when we look at these initiatives and when we look at this partnership, how does this all play into your broader vision for the success and future of Oklahomans?
Yeah, I set up faith-based initiatives because I know where the government needs help from the private sector, where we need churches and, like I said, NGOs involved, and then the government can step in and say, hey, here's the need that we have. Like, for example, kids aging out of foster care, or high school dropouts, or kids that are behind in reading. And that's where companies like what they're talking about that will come in to do tutoring. And so then we need some resources to hire the best tutors, and then we can put AI and we can put some some data behind making sure we get the outcomes, the learning models that we need. And then as you think about criminal justice reform and what are we doing to get people second chances that are getting out of prison, and how do we make sure that they have the resources they need to find the jobs. We were talking at breakfast, and Laura had a great idea that the companies, that if you're going to hire someone coming out of incarceration, we want to make sure that we help with if there's any kind of liability, or what are the obstacles that are keeping companies from hiring people and getting them on to a great success. So those are all the things that we're working on, and just so happy that we have the John and Laura Arnold Foundation coming in, putting their dollars to work with the dollars of the state on some of these great, very important efforts, because we want Oklahoma to be a top 10 state in everything we do, and we're just so thankful for them.
Yeah, this is a really big investment into the state. So $10 million, this grant is for 4 years, correct? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So as we look ahead here to the next 4 years, what do we see, as the outcome, and what do we expect to see, and how soon can we really just see all of this come into play?
Well, we expect to see great results,
Yeah.
Alejandra, immediately. No, not this is not. We're in the business of creating better options for people in the long run and even in the medium run. So I think what can you expect to see in the next 4 years is a much broader base of data, so that we can understand more about these interventions, and you can expect to see a commitment to replicating things that work. Yeah. Because that's what it's about. It's about allocating resources away from things that don't work and toward things that do work. Yeah. And thankfully, we do have some very good data points on things that do improve the lives of people, and so we'll be looking to shift those resources and invest as much as we can.
Yeah, and what's exciting is when we have these data-driven models and we have the business approach from John and Laura, then we can show some outcomes over the next couple of years. Well, there's other foundations that want to come alongside to invest their dollars. If they're seeing that something's going to work, there's a lot of folks around the country that are on, whether it's criminal justice or if it's on, improving educational outcomes. And if we can prove that the system works, that these guys are starting, then we'll have other foundations come in and help where government maybe can't. Because at the end of the day, neighbors have to walk with neighbors, and that's why I set up beaneighbor.org to connect these groups to people in need in the state of Oklahoma. So we're really excited about it, and we're just so thankful that you guys chose to come to Oklahoma.
Yeah, we're happy you're here. Thank you, John and Laura, Governor Kevin Stitt, for coming in and telling us about this exciting announcement. We appreciate your time and really look forward to seeing the outcome and all of this get to work. So again, thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alejandra.
Welcome
Thank you
to
for having
Oklahoma
us.
too.
Thank you.